Now the challenge is we need to get the squash deformer to coincide with really the Y translation. So we have the Y translation now on the ball. So when the group hits the ground, what we'd like to have happen is the ball to squash. Okay. So the easiest thing to do is say, okay, let's take the squash deformer and let's go to the right here. Let's say this keyframe. Now, where is the squash deformer? Okay, it's right here, the squash handle. So I'm going to hold down on a Mac the command key here. Now I can see both. And I'm going to go to the channel box. And here's my squash handle, input squash. And there's a factor right there. That's what I want to actually animate. So I'm going to say key selected at 0. So now, again, I'm going to hold that shift key. Now I'm seeing the Y. So as I move to that keyframe right there, the ball is supposed to be on the ground. Like the ball could get a little lower there, but we'll pretend that's the ground. If I hit factor, I hit the letter, let's say, I could just make the factor negative 0. Let's say 5 or 4. That's a pretty good squash right there. Okay. So now I can say key selected. All right. Now I'll go back, drag in the graph editor again. So now I'm at the top. Let me make this just a little bit bigger so we can see this space. It's just a little better. Okay, so now I'm at, that's the peak. So at this point, the factor should go back to 0. And I just continue this process. Oops, I'm sorry, I forgot to say. So I don't have the auto keyframe toggled on, so I'm going to turn it on now. So I can say key selected. Now I'll drag to that spot again. Now, last time we did it at 4, so I'm going to say 0. I'm going to say negative 0.35. So it squashes, but not quite as aggressively as it did the first time. In other words, it doesn't have quite as much energy. Okay, and again, we're going to come back up. Now, if you look carefully up here, I know it's kind of hard to see. There's a purple line right there. That's my graph, basically, for the factor. Okay, so now again, I'm back up where the ball's at its peak, so I should be back at 0. And then I can go down here. We did 0.3, negative 0. Let's do 2. Oops, sorry. 2. Let's say. Again, just a little bit less. And we go back to 0. Peak. Then we'll go back here. And we're hitting the ground again from a relatively short distance. Let's do 0.12. Oh, I'm sorry, I've got to do a negative. Okay. And then we can go back up to 0. And this is a relatively small drop to this next spot right here. I could use this tool to make sure I'm getting to the right keyframe. There we go. Okay. In other words, this one just snaps to the next keyframe, snaps to the previous keyframe. And we'll make this, let's say, negative 0.0. I'm sorry. Negative 0.0, let's say 6. Okay, and then we just going to kind of roll a little bit, and I'll make that go to 0. And then we'll just let it continue on its merry way. And what I'm going to do is it's rolling now at 0. Here's the very end frame. 150, oops. Let me quite get there. Let's see if I can make this a little longer. So I'm going to just extend my play area to 160. Oh, there's one more frame there. Okay. All right, so 152 is actually where I'm ending. And here, I'm going to let the ball, pretend that the ball, or just for the sake of animation, I'm going to let the ball have just a little drop, as if, just the weight of the ball itself. So it will, I don't want to have that, okay? So it looks okay. It's a little odd though. You see the ball is constantly changing from the moment, so it has no, let's just go just to the factor shot. See, the ball has no choice now but to start. There's the first keyframe, that's at 0. Now when it gets to the bottom, it's got to be at whatever this was, -0.4, -0.4, but the problem is there's no in-between keyframes, so the ball starts changing its shape immediately. So we're going to need to fix that in the next frame.